Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. So moving on with our Durango build. I was able to rebuild the diffs, get the shocks rebuilt, filled with new fluid. We went 10,000 in the front, we went 7,000 in the rear diff. We then went 35 weight shock oil on the front, 30 weight shock oil on the back, running 6-hole Durango pistons on tin-coated shafts, replaced bearings, and everything looks good. So turned out well. Everything spins free. The only thing I think I'm going to do is probably, there's an 87 spur gear on here. I do have an 81, so I may switch that out on the spur side to get that ratio down a little bit. Have our electronics, so our Protec servo. We're putting in a XR10 Pro in this, but we're still going with the good old Rocket 17.5. So in our chassis layout, if you're not familiar with Durango, it's pretty simple. Motor mounts here, ESC here, receiver. Servo mounts backwards underneath the front diff output, and the arm sticks up here. And so I ordered a J Concepts arm for the B7 or the T7 that's straight and not offset, so I can get a straight angle there. And then a shorty lipo will fit in the middle. There'll be a little room on each side. I'll put either foam in there, or what I'm going to do is probably drill and mount 22 4 battery hold downs. I think those will work. So this chassis isn't immaculate, and obviously we run our car, so drilling in this chassis. We drilled our 210 chassis for a battery stop, so I will drill this for some hold downs. We'll just drill it and tap it, and that will be an easy way to get the battery in there. And once it's in there, we don't want to pull it out too much, but if you don't know Durangos, how you get everything out is you pull your slipper pin retainer and your diff just slides right up. So new bearings on our diff, slipper pads. Like I said, I put an 87 on there, probably going to change that back to an 81. Looks like the upper UJs, the front UJs, and the rear mid is brand new. I did find some on eBay, again, through a company called Auctions that has a ton of Durango parts for whatever reason. Got those relatively cheap. So drivetrain's free, so that's good news. And we're moving on. So we're almost ready to go with installing electronics. Unfortunately, the parts that I thought were coming in are going to be here tomorrow. Looks like they're tracking for Monday. So those will be here. And the main parts with that is Durango made an on-road car that had 12mm hexes, so I ordered those because I think they will work. And then I ordered the servo holder in these is plastic. At least on I think they made 2 kits. When they originally came out, you could only buy 1 kit, which was like basically a pro spec kit. And then they came out with a little bit cheaper kit, which was, I believe, like a stock spec kit. And all the aluminum was replaced with plastic, including like your hinge pin holders were all plastic in there as well. You didn't get any of the carbon fiber. You had metal shock towers. You had a plastic adjustment bridge, like stiffening bridge in the back. So instead of carbon fiber, like we have on ours, the bridge is plastic on the stock spec. And then what you can do is dial in the stiffness by adding screws, keeping them loose. I do have a screw that's run down on the bottom, so I got to drill and get that out. And then your optional weight set, which we have, runs on the side, and you just screw them down from the top. There's an optional diff weight from Tressery that goes in the back, so if you want to add more weight in the back, you can certainly do that. And then always ran the rear skid plate weight as well, so we are going to get that in there. But I think it turned out fairly well, cleaned up good. No broken parts, really just cleaned everything up. The only thing I did was just order some spare parts. They had a ton of spare parts that I can basically build maybe 2 more cars. But I did find a carbon fiber shock tower, so I'm going to switch out the carbon fiber shock tower from the plastic on the front, and we'll put the plastic on something else. But that will get the Durango sorted, but we won't have it done this weekend, unfortunately, but we can get a lot of the other stuff done. I'm going to kind of fit the speed controller, figure that out. I am going to figure out the battery mounting, get that done. I ordered 2 bodies. Those came in. So I got to paint one of those up, get that body ready, mount up our speed. I got to mount out the motor because I'm trying to figure out where to set a fan. And I think I can get a fan kind of right in here. You can get that mounted in there, get a motor mounted, get a small sensor wire because our ESC will just be right here on the other side. And I think we'll be in fairly good shape, but it turned out pretty well. And like I say, if you're not familiar with Durango diffs, I think they were one of the first cars to have basically an 8-scale diff on it, which now all the 4-wheel drive cars run. So obviously sun gears, your ring gear, and then a pinion gear, and then you adjust your lash between your pinion gear with shims on each side before you put your bearings on and put them in the cases. That way you got just a little play in there to keep it nice and free. And then they give you silver and gold shims or different thicknesses to shim your diff either one side of the case to the other to tighten that mesh or make it a little bit looser. But yeah, and got that done. But the other part is, man, I know you guys don't know a ton about Durango, but there's a ton of Durango goodness, and we may have to spread it around. So we have enough parts, I think, to build another Durango. We may just build kind of like what is a stock spec. So my car is going to be kind of a pro spec. And like I said, the stock spec is basically all your aluminum hangers are on the stock spec were plastic. And they didn't have any inserts or anything. The hinge pins just mounted directly in them. Obviously, they kind of wore out a little bit. They broke easier being plastic, whereas the metal ones had the balls in them, the pillow balls. And then what you would do is to adjust any of your settings. You had a 0 degree. There's a 2. Yep, 2 right. Oh, that's a 0. There was a 2 somewhere, but you could get different degrees in there. Yeah, mark 2 on here. And you could switch those out. -2 in the front. C block, D block. Sort of thing. And yeah, got a whole slipper motor mount assembly. So this one's ready to go. Just got to put some bearings in it. But I'm going to start building this. I don't know what I'm going to do with it exactly. But there's so many parts. I have enough spare parts to keep mine running easily for a while. And I did order just some spare parts like the upper U-joints rather than having to use CVDs. I did find a complete set for like $25. Some for the front, some for the back. So driveline I think is in good shape. I got plenty of slippers, slipper pads. So that's easy enough. And then like I said, shock towers, I got those. I got a bunch of arms, front and rear. Top deck steering assembly. There's not much else after that. So this thing should be pretty foolproof. Got a whole spare diff besides the 2 diffs that were here. So like on a pro spec, you get a machined ring gear on the stock spec. And that's why I know there's some stock spec stuff in here is you just got a black hardened. I don't know if it was a different coating, but I'm pretty sure that was kind of the difference between the machine ones, and I believe these might have been cast. Yeah, I don't know. But it's not going in my car. It's going in this car. So I'm gonna start putting this together. I figure since my parts aren't coming through till Monday, I might as well throw one together. There's enough CVDs and stuff in this one to put in there. It does have like the plastic hoops. So a big thing with the Durango was the hoops would break that held your diffs either in the front. This is the front hoop. This is the rear hoop. So a lot of companies, including Tressery, came out with aluminum mounts. So these are Exotech. So in the rear, the gold one in the rear, the front hoop in the front, you kind of insert your diff into that ring, and that aligns your pinion angle and keeps that diff in there. But we will, we'll build this. Maybe this becomes a giveaway. I don't know. I know I've talked to Justin. I may build this for him. We will see. Justin was our first sponsored trusty racer in the United States back in the day when we raced Durango and did all this stuff. So may build one up for him out of the spare parts and see how good I can kind of get it together for him. Like I said, there's a bunch of older parts in here because I think he had a stock spec and then he upgraded to a bunch of the pro spec parts. A bunch of the aluminum upgrades are on there. And then I think he just started compiling parts. But there's a lot of them in here. It has a ton of the hinge pins in there. I still have some of the trussery hinge pins. I dug those out, found those. I'm going to take the turnbuckles off RDX, and I did order the 5.5mm ball studs. So I'm going to get these put on our Durango and run the B6 ball cups. So I know one of the things back in the day, Durangos, we always had trouble. Like once a ball cup popped off, it was like no good. You had to replace it or it would just keep popping off. And even though this one has the Durango HD upgraded ball cups, I'm going to take them off and we'll put them on this one along with any of the ball studs that we need off of there. And then, like I said, we'll upgrade ours to the B6 upgrade there. I did order titanium turnbuckles. Those, I think they come on Wednesday, so that's probably going to be obviously one of the last things we do, because I think if the other parts come in on Monday, the biggest thing, I could get everything in there, it's just the servo mount. And how the servo mounts backwards in these things. Once you get electronics in there, you have to tear the whole front end apart to get to it, whereas if you don't have electronics mounted, you can get your servo in there, you can kind of get everything down, you can get it aligned, and it just makes life way, way easier. So I'm in no hurry, so we will do that. But perhaps we'll build this. I still have a spare chassis and 3 more Ziploc bags worth of parts. So I do have 1 spare diff, so I'd have to get another diff, but I could almost build 3 cars. I do have a complete set of rear shocks. I have 1 front shock body. I ordered another front shock body because I think I can maybe get some stuff together, but we will see. But wanted to give an update to everybody on part 2 of the Durango build, and we'll be continuing this for the next couple of weeks. Get some parts in, get the electronics in, get a body painted, get all that set up. We'll take it out on track and do some testing. We won't run it at Pizza Feast because we're going to run our Yokomo. But yeah, that is the update on the Durango. So like, comment, subscribe down below, and we'll see you on the next one.